If you've been working hard for the past 2 or 3 years, doing everything right, staying disciplined, staying consistent, and nothing in your financial life seems to be changing, you're not behind, you're not unlucky, and you're definitely not broken. You are exactly where the math says you should be. And that is the part no one tells you. Because the biggest lie about wealth is not that it's impossible, it's that it looks like a steady upward climb. It doesn't. It looks flat for a long time, long enough to make most people quit. Think about this. We're taught from a young age that effort equals results. Work twice as hard, get twice the outcome. A clean, linear equation. But that model breaks the moment you step into anything that compounds. Because compounding doesn't reward effort immediately. It delays it. And that delay creates what I call the disappointment gap. This is the phase where everything feels wrong. You're putting in the work, you're making the right decisions, you're saving, you're investing, you're building, and yet nothing is moving. No visible progress, no meaningful feedback, no external validation. It feels like shouting into a vacuum. And this is where most people quit. Not because they lack discipline, but because the system feels broken. But the system isn't broken. You're just early. And early in a compounding system looks exactly like failure. Two people, same salary, same city, same opportunities. One spends freely, upgrading their life in real time. Better phone, better apartment, better lifestyle. The other holds back, invests quietly, builds something slowly. For the first few years, they look identical. Sometimes the spender even looks like they're winning. But what you don't see is that one of them is building momentum. And momentum in financial systems is invisible at the beginning. Because compounding is not linear, it's exponential. Which means in the early stages, growth is so small, it rounds down to zero. And your brain reads that as no progress. But that's not what's happening. The system is working. You just can't see it yet. This is the illusion of stagnation, where nothing appears to be happening, but everything is being prepared. It's like a bamboo tree. For years, nothing grows above the surface. No visible progress, no reward. But underground, an entire root system is expanding, strengthening, stabilizing, preparing. And then, in a matter of weeks, it shoots up dozens of feet. From the outside, it looks sudden. But it wasn't sudden. It was delayed. That's how compounding works. The early phase is not about growth. It's about foundation. And the cost of that phase is psychological. Because you are carrying the entire system yourself. There is no momentum capital yet. No returns helping you. No leverage. No acceleration. Just effort. And that's why the first $10,000 feels harder than the next 100,000. Not because of the number, but because you're alone. There's no system supporting you yet. And while you're doing this, the world around you is rewarding something completely different. Immediate gratification. Spending gets applause. Consumption is visible. Lifestyle upgrades are celebrated. But compounding is silent. No one sees it. No one rewards it. No one even notices it. So you start to question yourself. Maybe this isn't working. Maybe I'm too late. Maybe I'm missing something. You're not. You're just in the phase where the math hasn't revealed itself yet. And the real problem is not the system. It's your brain. Because your brain is not designed to understand compounding. It's designed for survival, for immediate feedback, for short-term cause and effect. You expect a result. That's how we evolved. But compounding breaks that loop. It introduces delayed feedback. You act now, and the result shows up years later. And that creates friction. Because neurologically, your future self does not feel like you. Studies have shown that when people think about themselves 20 or 30 years from now, their brain activates the same regions as when they think about a stranger. A stranger. Which means every time you invest, every time you delay gratification, every time you sacrifice something today, your brain interprets it as a loss. You're giving up something real for someone who doesn't even feel like you. So of course it feels uncomfortable. Of course it feels wrong. You are literally wired to resist long-term thinking. And on top of that, you're operating in an environment that amplifies this weakness. Everything around you is built for speed. Fast returns, quick wins, constant switching. Because the system profits from impatience. It profits when you reset, when you change strategies, when you chase something new, when you abandon what you started. Because every reset puts you back at the beginning of the curve, back to the flat part, back to the hardest phase, where effort is high and results are invisible. And if you don't understand this, you will keep restarting your life over and over again without realizing it. That's the trap. Not lack of intelligence, not lack of opportunity, just a misunderstanding of how the curve actually works. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, because the entire system flips. You stop asking, why isn't this working? And you start asking, have I stayed in the system long enough for it to work? Because in a compounding world, time is not just a variable, it's the engine. And most people never let the engine turn on. And once you understand that, everything else starts to look different. Because the game was never about making more money. It was about staying in the system long enough for money to start making itself. Think about how most people approach wealth. They focus on income, on raises, on better jobs, on higher paying opportunities. And those things matter, but they are still linear. You trade time for money. More effort, more output. There is a ceiling to that, because you are still bound by your biology, by your hours, by your energy, 24 hours a day. That's the limit. And no matter how efficient you become, you cannot break that limit through effort alone. So if your entire strategy is built on effort, your growth will always be capped. That's why some people work harder than everyone else and still never escape. Because they're playing a linear game inside a system that rewards exponential behavior. And this is where the shift happens. The moment you realize that money itself is not the goal, time is. Undistracted time, uninterrupted time, compounding time. That is the real asset. Because money in a modern system is abundant. It can be created, printed, moved, scaled. But your time is fixed. Finite, non-renewable, irreplaceable. And yet most people spend their entire lives trading the scarce thing for the abundant thing, hours for dollars, and they never question it, because the system is designed to make that trade feel normal. But if you zoom out, the people who actually build wealth are not chasing money. They are using money to buy back their time. This is the inversion, where you stop measuring success by how much you earn per hour and start measuring it by how many hours you no longer need to sell. Because every dollar you invest is not just stored value, it's a claim on future time. A small piece of your life that you are reclaiming in advance. And when enough of those claims accumulate, something changes. You cross a threshold, where your assets begin to generate more than your effort, where the system starts carrying you. And this is where most people get the math completely wrong, because they assume progress is evenly distributed. They think if it takes 20 years to build wealth, then year 10 should look like halfway. It doesn't, not even close. Let's break this down. Take a simple doubling sequence. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. At first, it feels slow, almost pointless. But keep going. By the time you reach 30 steps, you're past 1 billion. Now here's the part that matters. Halfway through the timeline, you are nowhere near halfway to the result. In fact, you haven't even reached 1%, which means almost all of the growth happens at the end. It's backloaded by design. And this is why people quit too early, because they expect visible progress in a system that hides it. If you walk away at year 15 because you're frustrated, you are not leaving at the midpoint. You are leaving right before the curve turns, right before the system takes over the heavy lifting, right before your past effort finally starts to multiply itself. And this is the harsh reality. The system does not reward effort evenly. It compresses the rewards into the later stages, which means patience is not optional. It is structural. You cannot shortcut this. You cannot hack this. You can only survive it. And that word matters, survive. Because the early years are not about winning. They're about staying in the game, not blowing up your strategy, not resetting your progress, not abandoning the system, just staying long enough for the math to flip. And once it flips, everything accelerates. Because now you are no longer working alone. Your past decisions are working with you. Your capital is generating capital. Your system is reinforcing itself. And time, which once felt like your enemy, becomes your greatest ally. Every day you do nothing, you are still moving forward. Every year you stay consistent, the curve steepens. And this is the part that feels almost unreal. Because the same system that felt invisible now feels unstoppable. But nothing changed. No breakthrough moment, no sudden intelligence, no secret strategy, just duration, uninterrupted duration. And this is exactly what the modern environment is designed to break, because everything around you is trying to interrupt you. New trends, new opportunities, new strategies, each one promising faster results, each one tempting you to switch, to restart, to chase something better. But every time you switch, you reset the clock. You go back to zero, back to the flat part of the curve, back to the phase where effort is highest and results are lowest. And if you repeat that cycle long enough, you can spend an entire lifetime working hard without ever experiencing compounding. That is the real trap. Not failure, reset. And the people who escape it are not necessarily smarter, they're just more stable. They understand something simple, that the most valuable asset they have is not their intelligence, not their strategy, not even their capital. It's their ability to remain, to stay in one system long enough for the system to start working for them. Because in the end, wealth is not built by speed, it's built by direction and duration. And if you can protect those two things, if you can stay on the path without interrupting yourself, then the outcome stops being uncertain. It becomes mathematical, not guaranteed in timing, but inevitable in structure. And that's the shift. From chasing results to trusting the process. From forcing growth to allowing it. From measuring effort to respecting time. Because the truth is, most people don't fail because they lack money. They fail because they never stay in one place long enough for the math to finally work.